On November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy, the youngest president ever elected, was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. Despite this tragedy, JFK is still considered one of the most accomplished presidents of the 20th century. On November 8, 1960, John F. Kennedy was elected the 35th President of the United States. He was 43 years old. He had served 6 years in Congress, first as a representative and then as a senator from Massachusetts. When he took the oath of office on January 20, 1961, he had his wife Jacqueline Kennedy and his 2 young children, Caroline, aged 3, and John, just 2 months old, by his side. On November 1963, JFK and his wife traveled to Dallas, Texas for a campaign event. Even though they knew it was risky, they drove in an open motorcade car because JFK wanted to be up close with the American people. As the car went through the crowds, people were taking pictures and screaming out in excitement. Suddenly, tragedy struck. Bullets flew through the air, striking JFK's head as his wife looked on with horror. His motorcade rushed to the hospital, where doctors desperately tried to save him, but it was too late. The president was dead. As the word got out, the American people were stunned. Jackie, in her pink blood-stained dress, was in shock. This was the day Americans would remember forever. His alleged assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, was arrested hours later. He had fired the shots from the 6th floor of the Texas Schoolbook Depository, but 2 days later, Oswald found himself killed by a bullet while in police custody by the bar owner by the name of Jack Ruby. Later that same day, Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn in as president on Air Force One at Love Field in Dallas. LBJ had demanded to be sworn in with Jackie by his side. 3 days later, there was a state funeral for the now former president. 250,000 people attended the funeral, and more than 90 countries sent a representative. Jackie, Caroline, and John said their final goodbyes. It had happened to be John's birthday, as he bravely saluted his father's casket as it passed him. Jackie hid her face in her black veil as she watched her husband's flag-draped coffin. There are 5 theories as to who was really responsible for assassinating JFK. The first is that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. He may have been motivated by his belief in communism, some personal grievance, or to go down in history. Oswald got a job at the Texas Schoolbook Depository because he knew it would be a good place from which to fire the shots at the motorcade. The second theory is the Umbrella Man theory. According to this theory, a man holding a black umbrella high up on a pleasant sunny day could have been signaling to Oswald when to act. The police interviewed the man but found no evidence to support this theory. The third theory is the grassy knoll theory. A man hiding behind a grassy knoll may have fired the first shot that struck JFK. JFK's motorcade was approaching the grassy knoll when the first shot was fired, and the initial analysis shows that the angle of the bullet seemed to come from this direction. 3 men were at the grassy knoll were taken into custody later after being found hidden in a railroad car. The fourth theory is that the Russian or the Cuban government were behind the assassination. They both opposed JFK because of his policies against communism. President Trump recently added a new theory to the mix, the Rafael Cruz theory, that Senator Ted Cruz's father was involved in the assassination. Trump based this theory on a photograph that seemed to show Cruz standing with Oswald as they were giving out pro-Castro brochures. In 1963, the Warren Commission was appointed by President Johnson to review the evidence of the assassination. The commission concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone and he was not involved in any conspiracy. JFK accomplished many great things throughout his time in office. He stood his ground with the Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev during the Cuban Missile Crisis and succeeded in getting the Soviets to remove all missile bases from Cuba. He also fought for the rights of African Americans. He worked with Martin Luther King Jr. to support a civil rights bill, but unfortunately, this bill was not passed by Congress until after he died. Furthermore, JFK established the Peace Corps, which was a famous government program to have American citizens volunteer to go to underdeveloped countries and serve for 2 years. Over 220,000 Americans have volunteered in 140 countries all around the world. Finally, JFK was known for his powerful and emotional speeches to the American people, which still inspires people all over the world.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Today, JFK is still remembered as one of America's greatest presidents. A library in his honor was built in Massachusetts, and one of the country's largest airports is the JFK Airport in New York. Additionally, an eternal flame burns at his gravesite in the Arlington National Cemetery, where people can visit and remember what he did to make this country, as well as the world, a better place. JFK asked what he could do for his country, and he found his answer. Sadly, he sacrificed his life in the process.